it's a really complicated issue. That's the one thing that I think Mexico has such a history. It's interesting. While on the one hand it seems to be a very stable country, and it is for people who go to visit and such, economically it is not a stable country. So one of the easiest ways to, corruption has always been an issue, la mordida.
Yeah.
And I think that with the addition of drug trafficking, it starts to become an even more complicated issue. My hometown, where I was born, when a sergeant in the police force can afford, a home that costs over $1 million, not pesos, $1 million,
Yeah.
He's doing something that isn't right and such. And so the problem is you have law enforcement, and some officials in law enforcement working with the drug cartels, and I think that then starts complicating it because you don't know who to trust and such. And it's a quick way to make money if you work with them. The problem is whenever economies suffer, like they have recently, the drug cartels then start fighting for more territory because it starts to become more and more difficult. And with the border wall coming up, I think that also makes things very, very iffy. How do you get your drugs across? What are you going to do about all of these things? And so I think that people then get caught in the crossfires of drug wars. Especially, there are certain areas of the country that I think are more vulnerable. I'm not going to, and that's not to say that anywhere that you go isn't going to happen, but I think your poorer areas that are the ones where you really find yourselves affected. Anywhere that they go to make border crossings through the U.S. coming up from Mexico, you're in trouble. And so what I think happens is that Calderon, in order to get financial assistance from the U.S., I think, says, yeah, we're going to fight the drug cartels. But I think that also within the government you have people who are probably involved in it just as much as the people who are, the head of the cartels. And so I think that the lip service is great. It's still not going to solve the issue. And I think that the drug cartels will not diminish in power. I think that it will continue to be an issue as long as it's an issue in the U.S. And as long as we become, I think, a society that seeks to escape stress or seeks pleasure or various different issues, and we can't find a better way to handle this, it's not going to stop. And the drug cartels, they're scary. It's very, very scary. I mean, they have weapons, they have all different kinds of ways to protect themselves, and they have people that work within the government who will inform them when a raid is coming. We hear this all the time. The movie Traffic, I believe, was that the Steven Soderbergh one that dealt with was it Camarena, who the DEA officer who was assassinated and such, and their means of scaring you are pretty scary, beheadings, all these different issues. But it's been around since the 70s. You've had this going on for a long, long time. It's just more intense, I would say. And it's become more lucrative, and it's a quick way for you to make money. And so I think that it all ties into the disintegration of society more and more, and I think that that's an issue that Mexico needs to look at.